This week, we begin the reading of Parshat Lecha, which is where we encounter for the first time Abraham. Abraham is known as the first Jew, and one of the reasons that we are so interested in Abraham is the incredible faith that he has in God. He is portrayed as a person whose faith will carry him through any difficulty that he has. And he does have difficulties. For instance, in the Midrash, we learn first about Abraham that he was able to, he was thrown into a fiery furnace by the ruler Nimrod because Abraham believed in God and not in the deity of Nimrod, or the divinity of Nimrod. He has lots of problems like this, and yet he seems to prevail. He seems to persevere. God tells him at the beginning of this week's Torah reading, leave everything behind and go. And Abraham does it. And as critical readers, we have to ask, where does such faith come from? How is it that somebody could leave everything behind and go to a place where we don't even know where? God never tells Abraham. At the end of the Abraham story, or toward the end of the Abraham story, we have the Rosh Hashanah reading where Abraham is commanded to sacrifice his son. And once again, here we have a command that seems to defy logic or reason, and yet Abraham goes through with it. I want to just point out, at the very end of the story of the binding of Isaac, Abraham stops the sacrifice when he hears the following: Abraham, Abraham. That's at least what the Torah tells us. Unlike all the other opportunities that were given to Abraham to follow God's laws, now we hear twice Abraham's name, Abraham, Abraham, which makes me think. It seems to me that Abraham has not always responded to God's word in ways that I would like him to. And perhaps I'm trying to make apologies for him, but I'd like to suggest that Abraham was listening to the wrong voices. At the end of the story, when we hear Abraham, Abraham, I have a sense that what we really have are two different voices speaking simultaneously to Abraham. And in speaking simultaneously to him, when Abraham hears two contradictory messages in his mind, he's listening to one and ignoring the other, and at the end we have evidence that both voices are heard by Abraham. It seems that to me that the second Abraham was saying to him, Abraham, your son is on the altar. Your God does not want you to kill your son. You're listening to the wrong voice. And all of this makes me wonder, in our own lives, when we think we are going on the right path and doing exactly what we should be doing, there are times when we need to stop and make sure that there isn't another voice that we should be listening to. It's complicated. Hearing voices from God can be seen as either a great spiritual experience or perhaps a sign of some mental health problem. And yet within each of us there are pulls and pushes. And it seems to me that if God is telling us something that contradicts our own sense of morality, our own conscience, we better listen once again to the voice of God and make sure that the one that we are listening to indeed is the voice to follow. Shabbat Shalom, and I'll see you later.